Why do women test men before commitment? Is it just a game, or is there a deeper psychology behind it? Many men get frustrated, thinking she's being difficult, but the truth is far more complex. Every woman's test is like a silent question. Can I trust you with my heart, my future, and my loyalty? These tests aren't random. They reveal how you handle pressure, consistency, and respect. Attraction alone isn't enough. She wants to see strength, stability, and emotional control. Men who fail often blame women, but men who pass unlock deeper connection. What feels like a challenge is actually her way of filtering out weakness from reliability. In attraction psychology, these moments decide whether you're temporary or permanent in her life. And today, we'll break down exactly why women test men before commitment and how to respond the right way. 1. Trust is everything. She needs to test your consistency. When it comes to long-term commitment, attraction alone doesn't cut it. Sure, you can make her laugh, keep her interested, or even sweep her off her feet in the moment, but none of that guarantees she'll see you as the one. The first and biggest reason women test men before commitment is trust. Not just trust in your words, but trust in your actions, your consistency, and your ability to follow through. Because to a woman, commitment isn't just about romance. It's about security, emotional, mental, and even financial. If she's going to let you into her world fully, she needs to know you're reliable when life gets messy, not just charming when things are easy. Think about it. Anyone can act sweet on a first date. Anyone can send good morning texts for a month. Anyone can play the role of perfect guy when the stakes are low. But she's looking for the man who remains solid even when temptation, stress, or challenges show up. That's why she'll test you by pulling back her attention, by going quiet, or even by subtly questioning your intentions. She doesn't do this to be cruel. She does this to see if your words are backed by patience and strength. Do you get angry when she's distant? Or do you stay calm and steady? Do you chase with desperation? Or do you lead with composure? Psychologically, this comes down to survival instincts. Women are naturally wired to seek stability in their partners because commitment means investment, her time, her emotions, and potentially her future family. If you fail her trust test, you prove you're unpredictable, and unpredictability equals danger in her subconscious mind. She'd rather walk away early than risk investing years into someone who cracks under pressure. That's why men who only focus on attraction, on looks, dates, or surface-level charm often get confused when women lose interest. It's not that attraction wasn't there. It's that trust was never secured. So how do you pass this test? By understanding that consistency is more attractive than intensity. Don't try to impress her with grand gestures if you can't maintain small, reliable actions. Don't say, "I'll always be here," if you disappear the moment she challenges you. Passing her test means proving through steady, calm behavior that you're dependable no matter the circumstance. And the truth is, once you earn that trust, her guard drops, her loyalty rises, and her attraction deepens in ways you've never experienced. Because at the end of the day, for a woman, commitment is not about finding a man who excites her for a season. It's about finding a man who reassures her for a lifetime. 2. Emotional strength. She wants to see if you can handle pressure. One of the most overlooked reasons women test men before commitment is to measure emotional strength. Think about it. In a relationship, storms will come. There will be disagreements, financial stress, family drama, or just the everyday chaos of life. A woman knows this long before she decides to commit. That's why she pushes, challenges, and sometimes even provokes to see how you react under pressure. Because to her, emotional strength is not just about how much you love her when things are easy, but how much control you have over yourself when things get hard. This is why she may suddenly become distant, throw out a random challenge, or even give you silence when you expected attention. To an inexperienced man, this feels like rejection. and he'll instantly react with panic, chasing, begging, or lashing out. But what she's really watching is whether you can keep calm, think rationally, and maintain control of the situation. She's not trying to punish you. She's trying to read your resilience. In her subconscious, the question is simple. If he can't even handle me pulling back for a few days, how will he handle real problems in the future? Men who fail this test often crumble under the weight of their own emotions. They argue, complain, or spiral into insecurity. That reaction tells her he's not stable enough to anchor her life. On the other hand, men who pass simply remain centered. They don't over-explain, they don't explode, and they don't chase validation. They show strength in patience, silence, and clarity. And that steadiness, more than anything, makes a woman feel safe. This emotional test is deeply rooted in attraction psychology. Women are biologically drawn to strength, not just physical, but emotional. A man who can keep his composure when things get tough signals that he can lead, protect, and provide stability. Without this, attraction fades quickly. She might enjoy your charm, but she won't trust your backbone. And without backbone, there can be no commitment. So, how do you pass this test? By mastering self-control. That means when she challenges you, you don't lose your cool. When she tests your patience, you breathe through it instead of reacting with fear or anger. When she questions you, you respond with clarity instead of defensiveness. It's not about being cold or heartless. It's about showing that you can weather storms without breaking apart. Because here's the reality. A woman doesn't just want a man who makes her smile when the sun is out. She wants a man who can stand tall when the sky is falling. And your ability to demonstrate emotional strength in those small tests is what convinces her you're built for the long haul. 3. Respect and boundaries. She wants to know if you're a leader or a follower. Another powerful reason women test men before commitment is to evaluate how much respect you command, not just from her, but from yourself. Respect is the foundation of attraction, and without it, no relationship can survive. A woman will never fully commit to a man she doesn't respect, no matter how much she might be attracted in the moment. This is why she pushes your boundaries, questions your decisions, or challenges your authority in subtle ways. She's not doing it to be disrespectful. She's doing it to see if you actually live by your own standards, or if you bend and break the second she applies pressure. Think of it like this. Every time she tests you, she's asking silently, does this man respect himself enough to lead, or will he fold to please me? Weak men, desperate for approval, often cave immediately. They'll agree to things they don't want, tolerate behavior they dislike, or let her run over their boundaries just to keep her happy. In the short term, this seems like it will win her affection, but in reality, it kills attraction. Why? Because women can't trust a man who can't even stand for himself. If you don't respect yourself, how can she respect you? On the other hand, strong men pass this test by holding their ground with calm authority. They don't yell, they don't dominate, and they don't belittle, but they make it clear where the line is drawn. And when a woman sees that you won't compromise your values or lose your direction just to please her, her respect for you rises instantly. That respect is what allows attraction to deepen into love, and love to transform into commitment. Psychologically, these tests come from an instinctive need for leadership. Women want to feel safe knowing their partner is capable of guiding, protecting, and making decisions under pressure. If you can't enforce boundaries with her, she'll wonder how you'll handle bigger challenges outside the relationship. And if you let her lead out of fear of conflict, she'll see you as unreliable, which is the fastest way to destroy long-term attraction. The way to pass this test is simple. Never trade respect for temporary approval. Don't say yes when you mean no. Don't allow disrespectful behavior just because you're afraid of losing her. And don't shrink yourself to fit her expectations. Instead, be clear, firm, and consistent about who you are and what you stand for. Because here's the truth. Women don't test to see if you'll obey. They test to see if you're strong enough to lead. And once you prove that, her respect and her commitment become unshakable. 4. Patience and self-control. She needs to see if you're driven by discipline or impulse. One of the most revealing tests women give before commitment is aimed directly at your patience and self-control. Why? Because these two traits reveal the difference between a man who can handle long-term responsibility and one who will collapse the moment temptation or frustration shows up. Women understand something most men overlook. Attraction is easy, but stability requires discipline. And before she invests her heart fully, she needs to know whether you're ruled by your impulses or guided by your principles. That's why she'll sometimes test you with delay, with silence, or with situations that trigger your impatience. Maybe she won't respond to your message right away. Maybe she'll deliberately slow down physical intimacy. Maybe she'll create moments where you feel like she's just out of reach. It's not to torture you. It's to observe how you manage your emotions when things don't happen on your timeline. Do you lose control and lash out? Do you pressure her or guilt trip her? Or do you remain calm, grounded, and patient enough to show her that you're not a slave to instant gratification? Men who fail this test reveal themselves quickly. They blow up her phone with desperate texts, they demand attention, they complain about waiting, or they attempt to manipulate the situation. What that communicates is simple. This man cannot handle delayed gratification, and if he can't even handle waiting a few hours or weeks, how will he handle the patience required for marriage, family, or building a shared future? For her, impatience equals weakness, and weakness equals risk. On the other hand, men who pass this test demonstrate composure. They don't chase or beg. They don't react emotionally to every push and pull. Instead, they carry themselves with quiet confidence, as if to say, I don't need to force anything. What's meant to be will flow. This ability to stay calm under delay signals maturity, strength, and long-term potential. It shows her that you are not easily shaken, not driven by fleeting urges, and not the type of man to make reckless decisions when pressure rises. From a psychological standpoint, this goes back to the concept of self-mastery. Women are instinctively drawn to men who can master themselves, because self-mastery means you can also master circumstances. If you have control over your emotions, your desires, and your actions, then she knows you're capable of leading a life that doesn't fall apart at the first obstacle. That kind of discipline is magnetic, because it offers her the one thing she craves most in a committed relationship: certainty. So remember this: her patience tests aren't about frustrating you. They're about filtering out men who only think in the moment. If you can demonstrate restraint, calmness, and unwavering control, you show her that you're not just a man of today, you're a man she can trust for a lifetime. 5. Consistency over time. She wants to see if you're truly reliable. Another major reason women test men before commitment is to measure consistency over time. Anyone can play the role of the perfect boyfriend for a few weeks, but time always exposes the truth. That's why women don't just watch how you treat them on the first date or in the honeymoon phase. They pay attention to how you behave months later, when the excitement fades and real life sets in. She needs to know whether your charm, your effort, and your promises are genuine, or if they're just an act to get her attention. Consistency is more than just showing up when it's convenient. It's about being the same man across different seasons, when things are good, when things are bad, and when things are boring. That's why she'll test you with situations that stretch beyond the moment. Maybe she'll pull back and stop giving you constant validation to see if you still invest effort. Maybe she'll stop rewarding you with praise just to check if your actions remain steady. Or maybe she'll wait to see if you keep the same standards 6 months in that you showed her in the first month. These are not games. They're windows into your long-term character. Men who fail this test usually reveal themselves quickly. At first, they're attentive, affectionate, and committed. But over time, they get lazy. The good morning texts fade, the effort in planning dates disappears, and the respect they once showed starts to crumble. To her, this signals one thing. He was only consistent when it was easy. If he can't stay consistent in small ways, why would she believe he'll remain consistent in a lifelong commitment? On the flip side, men who pass show steady reliability. They don't burn out after the chase. They maintain the same level of respect, effort, and energy long after the excitement phase is over. Their words match their actions over weeks, months, and years. And that consistency gives her the confidence to trust fully, because she knows she's not dealing with a temporary performance, but with a man whose character runs deep. Psychologically, this test taps into a woman's innate need for security. Commitment is an investment, and she doesn't want to invest in someone who shifts like the wind. She wants proof, through consistent behavior, that you're stable, dependable, and capable of standing firm when the honeymoon glow fades. The truth is simple. Passion attracts her, but consistency keeps her. If you can show her that you're not just reliable in words, but in actions, day after day, month after month, you become the rare man she can trust her heart with for a lifetime. 6. Handling temptation. She wants to know if you're loyal. When no one is watching. One of the deepest and most important tests women give before commitment revolves around loyalty in the face of temptation. Attraction is not scarce. You'll always encounter new people, opportunities, or situations that could pull you off track. A woman knows this, and before she gives you her full commitment, she needs to see whether you're the type of man who can remain loyal even when tested. To her, loyalty isn't just about saying, "I'll never cheat." It's about proving through your behavior that your principles are stronger than your impulses. That's why she might observe how you act around other women, how you respond when someone flirts with you, or how you handle opportunities to step out of line. Sometimes, she may even deliberately create small scenarios to see your reaction. She isn't doing this because she wants to trap you. She's doing it because she knows temptation is real, and if you can't resist it early on, you definitely won't resist it years into a relationship. Her subconscious question is always the same. If I trust this man, will he protect that trust when I'm not around? Men who fail this test are easy to spot. They flirt back carelessly, they entertain attention from other women, or they keep doors open just in case. They think it's harmless fun, but to her, it's a flashing red sign. This man lacks discipline. If he can't stay focused during a casual interaction, how will he stay loyal during a serious commitment? And once that seed of doubt is planted in her mind, it's very hard to recover. Men who pass this test, however, stand out instantly. They don't just avoid temptation, they handle it with quiet strength. They don't need to boast about loyalty. Their actions speak for them. When someone crosses the line, they set boundaries with respect, but with firmness. They don't seek validation from outside attention because their confidence comes from within, not from how many people notice them. This kind of self-control builds an unshakable sense of trust, and trust is the foundation of lasting attraction. From a psychological perspective, this test is tied to a woman's need for certainty in commitment. She knows that without loyalty, everything else collapses. Love without trust becomes anxiety. Passion without faithfulness becomes insecurity. Stability without loyalty becomes temporary. That's why this test is non-negotiable for her, because loyalty is the glue that holds everything else together. So remember this. She doesn't just want to know how you treat her when she's around. She wants to know how you live when she's not. If you can prove that loyalty is not a performance but a principle, you show her you're not just a man she can love. You're a man she can truly commit to for life. 7. Future vision. She tests if you have direction beyond the present. The last, and perhaps most defining reason women test men before commitment is to evaluate your vision for the future. Attraction might spark in the present, but commitment is always about the long game. A woman isn't just looking at who you are right now. She's looking at where you're headed. And before she invests her years, her emotions, and potentially her family into you, She wants to see if you actually have a sense of direction. Because the truth is simple. Without a vision, there is no future. And without a future, there is no reason for her to commit. This is why she'll test you in ways that may feel subtle at first. She'll ask about your goals. She'll notice how serious you are about your career, your growth, your ambitions. She'll pay attention to whether you're disciplined with money or reckless with it. Even your lifestyle choices, your habits, your circle, your routines become part of the test. What she's really asking in her mind is, if I follow this man, where will he lead me? Men who fail this test are the ones who live only for the moment. They chase pleasure without purpose, they talk big but deliver little, or they let life drag them around without any real plan. At first, this may not seem like a deal breaker, but for a woman considering commitment, it's a glaring warning sign. Because if you don't know where you're going, you're asking her to gamble her entire future on uncertainty, and no woman with self-respect will do that for long. On the other hand, men who pass this test don't need to have everything figured out, but they do need to show drive and direction. They're working towards something, even if the path isn't perfect yet. They're not content to drift. They're motivated to grow, to build, to create. And when she sees that you have a vision, not just for yourself, but for the life you want to share, her trust deepens, because vision equals security, and security equals attraction that lasts. Psychologically, this test taps into a woman's natural instinct to seek stability and progress. She wants to feel that by committing to you, her life moves forward, not backward. If you can paint a picture of where you're headed and back it up with consistent action, she won't just be attracted to you, she'll believe in you. And belief is what transforms interest into lifelong loyalty. So remember, women don't test your future vision to nag or criticize. They test to protect themselves. If you can prove that you're a man with purpose, a man with direction, and a man who knows how to turn today into tomorrow, she won't just commit. She'll commit wholeheartedly, because she sees you as the leader of the life she wants to build. The true purpose behind her tests. By now, it should be clear. Women don't test men before commitment to play games, waste time, or cause unnecessary drama. Every test has a purpose, and that purpose is rooted in survival, security, and emotional investment. When a woman tests you, she's not asking, "Are you perfect?" She's asking, "Can I trust you with my future?" And that question is the heart of commitment. Across all 7 points, the pattern is undeniable. She tests your consistency because she wants to know you're reliable when excitement fades. She tests your emotional strength because life isn't always smooth, and she needs to see if you'll hold steady when chaos hits. She tests your respect and boundaries because without them, attraction collapses. She tests your patience and self-control because impulsive men bring instability, and discipline is what provides safety. She tests your loyalty against temptation, because without trust, nothing else matters. She tests your consistency over time, because anyone can act strong in the short term, but commitment is forever. And finally, she tests your future vision, because if you don't know where you're going, why should she follow you there? These tests aren't traps. They're filters. They separate men who are only here for attention from men who are ready for real connection. They separate those who live by impulse from those who live by principle. They separate men who crumble under pressure from those who rise to the challenge. And when you pass her tests, you're not just proving your worth to her, you're proving it to yourself. Because a man who is consistent, strong, respectful, disciplined, loyal, and driven doesn't just attract commitment from a woman, he attracts success in every area of his life. The truth is, commitment isn't something women hand out lightly. It's an investment. It's her way of saying, I choose you to be my partner in building a life, a family, and a future. That's why she'll test you. That's why she'll challenge you. And that's why passing those tests is the difference between being a temporary chapter in her story and being the man she writes the rest of her book with. So the next time you feel tested, don't complain, don't panic, and don't collapse. Recognize it for what it really is, an opportunity to prove that you're not just another man, but the man. Because once you show her that you're trustworthy, disciplined, and visionary, the tests stop, and the commitment begins.